everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Staff Picks, the show where we here at CineFix get to talk about the stuff that we're just really into right now. This might be stuff that we just didn't get a chance to talk about, or maybe they don't fit into any of our other shows, and man, we just want to share them with you. Point is, Staff Picks is the place to find out what we here at CineFix are watching right now. So this month, we've got a few Netflix shows, we've got a few Oscar snubs that you need to pay more attention to, got a documentary mixed in there. Even the King of Pop is going to make an appearance on our list this month. So, with all that introduction, here's our Staff Picks.
All right, guys, so I have two picks this month, and the first one is a show on Netflix that's called Chewing Gum. But since it takes place in the UK, is it Chewing Gum? It came up through the AI as a suggested show for me, and this is a terrifyingly good example of machine learning because I loved it and binged the entire season in one day. It's a comedy that centers on a young woman who is being raised by an extremely religious mother. So she and her sister are both, very chaste women, and she starts to have sort of a sexual awakening, and hilarity ensues. The show was created by, written by, and stars Michaela Cole, and she's awesome. I believe this was actually based off of some sort of stage play or live show that she was already doing in London, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But in any event, the Netflix show is out there and it's now available to all of us. I low-key wanted to do staff picks simply because I wanted to talk about this show. So if any of you guys have checked it out, let me know. And if you haven't and you just love really, really awesome comedy, be sure to give it a chance because I feel like this is truly a hidden gem of Netflix.
So this month, my staff pick is The OA. The OA is about a 20-something-year-old girl who returns to town after being gone for 7 years. And when she was gone, she was actually blind, and then now miraculously returns and she's able to see again. The first season goes through what she's been through, where in the world she has gone, what exactly happened to her, and how she survived and who she really is the big question. I love this show because at the end of the season, I just walked away feeling like two things. All is right with the world and all is very wrong with the world. The best sci-fi for me are ones that are super existential and philosophical, but it's still entertaining and it's not too deep, but it's thought-provoking. And there's a lot of questions that are raised and it's so intriguing and thought-provoking and just brilliantly written, which is a lot of what Britt Marling does, and I'm a huge fan of hers.
So for my pick this month, I want to talk about a documentary because I'm really into documentaries right now because I think now more than ever, listening to other people's stories and really sort of understanding where they're coming from is kind of important. Even some of my favorite narrative movies of the year and some that are nominated for Oscars, you look at Hidden Figures and Moonlight and even Hell or High Water, the movie is really based on understanding where these people are coming from, So all that to say, documentaries. And the one that I want to talk about is called Kate Plays Christine. Now, there's a handful of movies that are coming out about this particular subject. Well, actually, just two, I think. But it's about Christine Chubbuck, who is a newscaster in Sarasota, Florida, back in the 70s, who actually shot herself on air, on live TV. Now, this particular documentary is about Caitlin Shield preparing to play Christine Chubbuck in one of those movies. And this documentary is fascinating. First of all, we don't always get to see a lot of what actors go through to prepare to play a role, especially a role where not that much is known about the subject, which is the case with Christine Chubbuck. But here's a documentary that follows the story of a person who's trying to find the story of another person. Kate is trying to get to the truth of what made Christine do what she did. And at some points, the line starts to blur and the documentary starts to feel like it's sort of fiction itself, and it gets really trippy and really crazy in certain parts. But all that say the tone of the documentary is very, very interesting and very unsettling too. So if nothing else, this documentary is actually a really interesting piece of film. It's directed by a guy who's most notably an editor, so the storytelling of the documentary is really on point. But more than that, it's just a documentary that thematically really hits the spot for me right now.
I really enjoyed The Founder this month. That's the story of Ray Kroc founding McDonald's. Sort of went under the radar. There was a lot of talk about this maybe being a big awards contender, and then it kind of came and went, but I really enjoyed it. It was directed by John Lee Hancock, who recently directed Saving Mr. Banks, which I also really enjoyed, the story of Mary Poppins and Walt Disney, and he also directed The Blind Side, a very solid movie. So it actually, had very good storytelling elements of this real situation that took place. And a story that you might not necessarily know a lot about. The story actually had a lot of surprises in it. It wasn't just necessarily oh yeah, it's a movie about McDonald's, who cares? At first you think that this is kind of a story that you've heard before, like, okay, there's a visionary and there's a big success and everyone lives happily ever after, but this story actually had some twists and turns that I was not previously aware of. Kind of find out that maybe this isn't like the best guy, and the story that you think you might know about him founding McDonald's is not really the story at all. So there's really a lot to be discovered here, and it was put together in a really solid way. So it was actually quite enjoyable. If you missed it, I'd totally recommend giving it a shot.
My pick for this month is Michael Jackson's journey from Motown to Off the Wall, which is a Spike Lee documentary that actually came out a whole year ago at Sundance. That's one Sundance ago. And it is terrific. It's electrifying. It was one of the best movies I saw last year. For some reason, it didn't get any sort of major theatrical distribution. And now it's coming to Showtime early this month, so you can see it for free if you are a cable subscriber. This movie has everything. If you are a Michael Jackson fan, and I certainly am, you're gonna love it. You'll be dancing in your seat. It's full of music, it's full of archival footage, but moreover, it's got everybody in it. You've got Stevie Wonder, Questlove, John Legend, David Byrne, The Weeknd is in it, Berry Gordy is featured is featured quite a bit. Everybody who is anywhere in Michael Jackson's orbit in his early life, in the middle of his life, and even at the end of his life, is in this movie talking about him. It's beautifully edited, it moves along very quickly, and it's got all kinds of new stuff and insights that you've never seen about him before. It's one of Spike Lee's best documentaries, I think perhaps his best, and for some reason it just hasn't gotten very much attention since it came out, but now you can watch it this month.
So my pick for this month is a movie that came out last year, and it's recently on Netflix. I think everyone should check it out. It's called Other People. It's a semi-autobiographical film about Chris Kelly, this writer who worked on Saturday Night Live. His mother was diagnosed with cancer, and he went home to take care of her, and that's what this movie is about. You really get immersed in the characters, and what's incredible about it is not only is it incredibly heartbreaking and sad because of the subject material, but it's incredibly funny. It's one of the few movies that I can think of, maybe the only, where I laughed incredibly hard and cried, like all in the same film. I think it's really sad that it wasn't nominated for any Academy Awards because it really was incredible writing. The acting was spectacular. Molly Shannon and Jesse Plemons, they have a really great dynamic, and they knock it out of the park. So I would definitely check that out. That's my staff pick. I mean, it's on Netflix. Just, you've already got it. You actually already own it, in a sense. You don't, though.
My other pick for this month is another Netflix show. It's called Easy, and this one's a really cool show because it's done anthology style, a la Black Mirror, where every episode is sort of about a different set of characters. But in this case, it's not a dystopian future, it's just people living in Chicago. It was created by and directed by Joe Swanberg, and I really felt that this was just a super engaging, refreshing show. Kind of centers on just relationships and just trying to, make it in the world today. And I really enjoyed watching the different characters in each episode and kind of seeing a little bit of crossover occasionally where they might cross paths since they are all living in the city of Chicago. Anthology shows are cool because you can kind of like pick them up anywhere you like, but I watched this one front to back the way the episodes were numbered, and I loved it. It was definitely one where I was sort of binging it and managed to watch the entire season. Not quite as fast as Chewing Gum, but probably within 2 or 3 days. Also, this show has Zazie Beetz, who's on Atlanta, another show that I love, so if you're a fan of hers, you'll get to see her here in Easy as well, and I definitely recommend that you guys check it out.
Thanks for watching CineFix Staff Picks. Let us know in the comments down below if you're into the same stuff we are, because to be honest, most of the reason we're doing the show is because this is just stuff we like to talk about. So talk to us about it. Let us know. Click like and subscribe to CineFix for more of our great movie content, and we will see you next time.